Hello friends, welcome to this lecture on directing. In this session, we will begin with the meaning and characteristics of directing. We will then move into its importance and 4 core elements. After that, we will go deep into leadership, covering its qualities, roles and 5 leadership models. We will then discuss motivation, covering its types, components and all the key theories in this chapter. Finally, we will close with communication models and supervision. So let us get started. Friends, as you know by now that management is a function that involves planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. Among these, directing is the function that actually guides, motivates and supervises employees on a day-to-day basis. Without directing, even the best plans remain on paper. It is actually directing that converts intent into action. Now please note, directing is not a one-time activity. It is in fact a continuous managerial function. Its purpose is to keep employee efforts aligned with organizational objectives over time. Now let us understand the characteristics of directing. The first characteristic is that directing is the initiator of action. After planning, organizing, staffing and controlling arrangements are in place, directing starts the actual implementation. Then second characteristic is that directing is an all-encompassing function. This means it works at all levels of the organization and provides guidance across the hierarchy. The third characteristic is that directing is a constantly occurring activity. It continues even when staff members change or the structure of the organization changes. The next characteristic is directing follows the descending order of the hierarchy. Direction flows from top management to lower levels so that responsibilities remain clear. And fifth characteristic is the human factor. Friends, please note every employee is different. So managers must direct employees according to individual needs so that work is completed effectively and the firm can grow. Next,
Friends, do you know after the recent CAIIB syllabus revision, the pass percentage has dropped sharply to just 20.77%. And these are not just my figures. These are as per official ABFM data. But what's the reason for such a sharp downfall? Well, the main reason is not that bankers are not studying enough. Now, there are primarily 2 important factors that have led to this massive fall. First is increase of syllabus from 3 papers to 5 papers. Friends, for bankers, CAIIB was already a bit more challenging than JIB, but with addition of 2 more papers, the difficulty has crossed over the roof. Then second and bigger reason is non-availability of smart preparation resources. Luckily for you, there's now a solution. Let me introduce you to my CAIIB Masters Pack, which is created specifically for the new CAIIB syllabus and upgraded exam pattern. For each paper of CAIIB, you get a summarized notes book covering entire syllabus in my own words, in depth but not bulky. Friends, if you are serious about clearing CAIIB in your very next attempt, then stop wasting time with scattered resources. Click the link below, grab your CAIIB Masters Pack and start preparing smart.
let's look at importance of directing. Friends, please note leadership has ancient origins, while management science is developed mainly in the 20th century because large businesses needed order. And directing plays a central role in management because it brings consistency and control in operations. The important point here is that as leadership is a skill, not a privilege reserved for a few. It can be practiced through structured directing. Without capable directing, complex organizations risk becoming disorganized and may struggle to survive. Thus, directing bridges leadership intent and operational execution. Next, let's discuss the elements of directing. Friends, this chapter identifies 4 core elements of directing, which are leadership, motivation, communication, and supervision. Next, we will now go through each one of these in detail. So first, leadership involves behaviors and attributes that can be developed through training and development. According to Keith Davis, leadership involves convincing people to pursue predetermined goals. It includes a human element that binds the group and drives it toward objectives. Next, leadership is important for several reasons. It begins the action by translating plans into clear, actionable instructions. It coordinates efforts by aligning individual work with team and departmental goals. Then it also provides motivation through incentives and support. It also maintains equilibrium, meaning long-term stability in the organization. Next, it helps businesses adapt to change. And lastly, it maximizes resource use by minimizing waste through clear direction. Then next, let's see leadership roles and responsibilities. Friends, leaders guide all organizational levels and ensure plan execution. They represent the organization in meetings and public forums. They integrate employee aspirations with business objectives. They also garner support by motivating and uniting teams. And lately, they act as a friend, philosopher, and guide, offering emotional support, wisdom, and mentorship to employees. Now let us look at some leadership qualities. Friends, a leader should have an outward look, vision and foresight, intelligence, communication skills, objectivity, knowledge of work, responsibility, self-confidence, humanistic attitude, and compassion. In simple words, a leader should be able to understand work, communicate clearly, make unbiased decisions, take responsibility, and handle subordinates with empathy. Now we come to leadership models. Friends, a leadership model is a theoretical framework for managing personnel. It works as a guide for responding to the needs of employees and businesses. Leadership models in fact define leadership behaviors according to specific situations. So the first model is authoritarian leadership. Now, authoritarian leadership is a centralized style where the leader sets expectations and makes decisions independently. Its advantages include faster decision making, a clear chain of command, reduced repetition in execution, and consistent results through a controlled environment. Its disadvantages include worker dissatisfaction due to lack of inclusion, suppressed creativity and innovation, reduced group cooperation, and higher employee turnover from rigid control. Then second model is participative leadership. Friends, participative leadership is a democratic approach. Here team members are involved in decision making while the leader retains final authority. Advantages include boosted motivation and job satisfaction, encouragement of creativity, stronger team building through inclusive decisions, and improved productivity. Next, disadvantages include slower decision making due to extensive consultation, possible communication challenges in open forums, and the risk of poor decisions if staff lack the relevant skills. Then third model is delegative leadership. Friends, delegative leadership, also known as laissez-faire leadership, focuses on delegating initiative to team members. It works best when team members are experienced, knowledgeable, and capable of working independently. Advantages include benefits for experienced employees, encouragement of creativity, and a positive and productive work atmosphere. Disadvantages include unclear accountability and difficulty adapting to dynamic changes in the team or environment. Then the fourth model is transactional leadership. Friends, transactional leadership focuses on clear goals, structured rewards, and routine performance monitoring. Advantages include time-bound and measurable objectives, reward-based motivation, clarity in the chain of command, manageable systems for both employees and managers, and the ability for employees to select personalized reward systems. Then disadvantages include suppression of creativity, minimal role for empathy, and a tendency to produce more followers than leaders, limiting leadership growth. And then the fifth model is transformational leadership. Friends, transformational leadership inspires followers through a clear vision, with the leader acting as a role model. Advantages include reduced employee turnover through higher job satisfaction, emphasis on a shared business vision, enhanced morale through motivational techniques, strong team interaction and support, and gaining commitment through inspiration rather than compulsion. Then disadvantages include the risk of misleading employees with false promises, the need for constant encouragement, which can be resource intensive, and possible conflicts in protocols due to the flexible nature of this style. Next, we move to motivation. Friends, the word motivation is derived from the Latin word motive, meaning necessity, inclination, or drive. Motivation is in fact the internal force that drives people to take action toward goals. Please note that psychological factors often drive behavior during task accomplishment, and motivation covers both what initiates behavior and what sustains it over time. Next, there are two types of motivation, which are extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic motivation comes from external sources such as money, praise, trophies, or recognition. It can sometimes reduce intrinsic motivation if overused. Then next, intrinsic motivation arises from within or from personal satisfaction, enjoyment, or a sense of challenge. Then please remember the impact of motivation is seen through three components. First, conformational changes, which is the decision to begin a specific behavior. Second, perseverance, meaning consistent effort toward a goal despite difficulties. Third, intensity, referring to the dedication and enthusiasm with which someone pursues a goal. Now let us briefly cover the motivation theories. First, we have Alderfer's ERG theory, meaning existence, relatedness, and growth. It was developed by Clayton Alderfer. In this theory, existence relates to physical and mental well-being. Relatedness relates to social connections and belongingness. Lastly, growth relates to self-development and fulfillment. The theory also says that all three needs can operate together. The next is Hertzberg's two-factor theory, which divides workplace motivation into two categories. First, motivational factors which increase job satisfaction, and this includes sense of accomplishment, recognition, the nature of the task, responsibility, promotion opportunities, and growth through training. And next we have hygiene factors which prevent dissatisfaction and includes company policies, supervision quality, workplace relationships, working conditions, compensation, and employee status. Here please note hygiene factors do not directly motivate, but their absence causes dissatisfaction. Next, McClelland's needs theory identifies three needs. These are need for power, need for affiliation, and need for achievement. Friends, need for power is the desire to influence or control others. Need for affiliation is the desire for approval and belonging, while need for achievement is the desire to succeed in challenging tasks. Then next is Porter and Lawler's theory, which proposes that performance leads to rewards and rewards lead to satisfaction. Please note here that performance is not necessarily a direct result of satisfaction. Instead, an effective reward system is what makes performance result in satisfaction. Friends, next theory is equity theory developed by John Adams in the 1960s. It focuses on fairness between employee inputs and outputs. Employees compare their inputs and outputs with co-workers. If they feel inequity, they may change their thinking, change their effort, or seek organizational changes. The next theory is Vroom's expectancy theory, which is in fact a process-based theory. It says that future expectations influence motivation. The three factors here are valence, expectancy, and instrumentality. Valence means the value placed on the reward. Expectancy means belief that effort will lead to performance. And instrumentality means belief that performance will lead to reward. The formula is M equals V multiplied by I multiplied by E, where M means motivation, V means valence, I means instrumentality, and E means expectancy. And lastly, we have self-determination theory, which states that individuals have the power to choose their path and take responsibility for their actions. It increases psychological well-being, control, autonomy, and intrinsic motivation. It was developed by Edward Deci and Richard Ryan in 1985. Friends, next we move to communication. Now, communication is the process of conveying meaning from one person to another through a shared system of symbols. It connects private and public experiences. Richards defined communication as one mind influencing another through shared experience. Also note, science and technology have increased interest in communication. Next, there are two communication models. First, the linear model was developed by Harold Laswell. It is a one-way process and asks 5 questions, which are who says what, in which channel, to whom, and with what effect. Shannon and Weaver later expanded it with 5 components, that is information source, transmission, communication channel, receiver, and destination. Now this model is clear and structured but lacks feedback and real-time interaction. Next, second model is the dynamic model, which treats communication as a two-way and evolving process. It includes feedback, empathy, and context. It is useful in teamwork, leadership, counseling, and relationship building. Please remember, the concept of communication includes irreversibility and active listening. Irreversibility means once communication is delivered, it cannot be taken back. Active listening helps ensure that the message is received and understood. Next, let's understand levels of communication. Friends, there are 5 levels of communication. Communication not directed toward people, interpersonal communication between two individuals, intrapersonal or self-communication, organizational communication within businesses, and mass communication through media platforms. Friends, please note organizational communication takes place within businesses. It may flow vertically, upward or downward, or horizontally. Then mass communication uses media platforms such as email, fax, print, and video conferencing for wider sharing. Also remember, communication in organizations supports business functioning. It helps in sales, services, production, adaptation to challenges, policy compliance, internal relationships, planning, coordination, and control. Then please note, effective organizational communication promotes learning, teamwork, safety, innovation, and better decision making. It supports employee engagement, satisfaction, retention, and organizational learning. Friends, finally, we come to supervision. Friends, supervision means to see from above. It refers to overseeing the activities of others. According to Whitty Yates, it involves direct and immediate guidance and control over subordinate tasks. Terry and Franklin define it as guiding and directing employees and resources toward work goals. Next, a supervisor acts as a link between management and subordinates. The supervisor communicates plans, reports, feedback, guides employees, mentors them, and helps improve their skills, knowledge, and motivation. An effective supervisor should have leadership qualities, knowledge and skills, personal traits, correct judgment about the degree of supervision, ability to promote cohesiveness, and good rapport with superiors. Lastly, the importance of supervision includes issuing orders and instructions, planning and organizing work, proper assignment of work, better use of resources, improved motivation, discipline, group cohesiveness, and acting as a vital link between workers and management. Friends, with this you now have a clear understanding of directing and its four elements, that is leadership, motivation, communication, and supervision. So thank you, and I will meet you again in next chapter.